welcome. We're so glad you made it this morning in the middle of spring break, and at least the traffic was better this morning, right? No rain, that's a good thing. So in front of you, you have your presentation, and as always, you have evaluations. So if you will fill that out, we would appreciate it. If you need CPE, you must fill it out in order to get your CPE credits, which of course we'll give to you. And then at the end, we'll stamp your parking tickets also, so that you can get out with no charge. So we are celebrating our 27th year with Chapman Hexton Company. We're excited about that. We couldn't do it without you, and we appreciate you guys. We're glad you're here and glad you support us throughout the community. The February videos are available on our website now under events. And so if you have any problems with that, you can always email Ryan, our IT director. He would love to hear from you. He loves emails. So, anytime, day or night, he responds. He loves them from us at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's his favorite time to get it. So. Our speaker this morning is Keith Martino. Keith is a special friend of ours and actually came up with Aspire. He was the one who helped us develop that, and it was his idea, and we are really thankful for that. So we're excited to have him this morning. He is an author, and his latest book is Expect Leadership, and with a positive influence. And there's no one more positive than Keith Martino. And so I'm going to turn him over to you guys, and you will be thrilled with the presentation this morning.
Thank you, Nancy. Yeah, for those of you who are filling out the evaluation forms, go ahead and fill that in right now. It's probably the high point of the morning for you. Now, we're excited to be here with you this morning. As Nancy mentioned, she and Greg and I sat together about 7 years ago and put together the concept for Aspire, and it's been a raging success. Come on in. Since then, and we know the crowd's a little lighter today because of either spring break or because I'm back to speak again. I'm not sure, but it's one or the other. We are going to have some fun this morning, though. It's going to be a very interactive session on the topic of leadership, and so you guys will be very much involved very early in the presentation, as a matter of fact. My name is Keith Martino, as Nancy mentioned. I spent a number of years at Xerox and then a number of years at FedEx, leading sales and marketing groups around the world for FedEx. And about in 2001 or so, we began to do leadership work because I was really excited about some of the leadership programs that FedEx had put together. Just as sort of an aside to that, at FedEx, we had gotten to a place where about 60% of the frontline managers in the company were failing in their first management position. And that was a very high, as you can imagine, that's a very high casualty rate for frontline managers. And so Fred Smith, the founder of the company and a guy who was very interested in the topic of leadership, sort of put a halt and said, we're not promoting anyone until we put together a leadership program that is really designed to help these people be successful. And I see Ken shaking his head. Thanks, Ken. It is Ken, right?
It is Ken, yes.
Yeah, Ken. It's always good to have heads shaking this way. So to make a long story short, they put together what became a Leadership Institute, and I worked around that a lot over the years. And so it was always a passion of mine. The real reason why I got into this whole discussion of leadership, though, and the reason I sort of gravitated back to this topic when I went into business for myself was because I wanted to be a better leader. And I figured, that old thing about if you want to learn about something, teach a class on it or whatever, I figured that I would, really spend some time in doing that. And I just saw Kim. Kim, I haven't seen you in several times. That's good to see you. Well, thanks. Sorry, I just had to speak to an old friend. I think Kim was here probably at the first Aspire meeting we had. But was really fascinated by the notion that everyone can be a leader. And now I know that's probably one of the more controversial things I'll say this morning. There may be some other things I don't know are controversial, but you'll tell me those things. But just think about this. Think about the difference in perspective that happens whenever you tell every single employee of yours that job number one is to first be a great leader inside of this organization. This means if you're the receptionist, the way you answer the phone, the impact that you have on people, the influence that you have on your peers around you, all of those things are acts of leadership. And so we're going to define leadership this morning perhaps a little differently than in many cases it's applied. We're going to define leadership not as a title or a position, but as the way you approach your job, regardless of whatever your job may be. And when you begin to talk to people about the idea that at our company, we expect leadership from every person who is in the company, you begin to get some interesting pushback, if you will. What are some of the comments that you think that you get from employees? This would be the crowd participation. You don't pay me enough to be a leader, right? Okay, so that's one thing. What else might you hear?
What is leadership?
Yeah, what is leadership? Because truly you have to have a consensus of definition. You have to have a common definition throughout the organization to have everyone buy into that notion, right? So you get some questions about how are you defining leadership? What else do you think you might hear? Yeah. Yeah, why would I want those management problems? And obviously there's an opportunity then to say, leadership in our organization is not about being in management, because you may never aspire to be in management. You certainly may never aspire to be, notice I'm using the word aspire. Yeah. You may never, I just noticed that, Nancy, is that all right? Okay, all right. I just want to make sure they weren't going to sue me after, no. Now, you may never desire or aspire to be in any particular position where you carry the responsibility of the organization as a whole. But as a leader inside this organization, which will be your job number one, job number two may be you're a sales professional, or you are a receiving clerk, or you are the director of IT, or you are whatever that title may be. But job number one will always be to be a positive influence on everyone around you, and to understand that every word that you say, try this on for size, every word that you say and every action that you take will be seen as an act of leadership. Can leadership be good or bad? Yeah, what's an example of bad leadership? Where you're leading people in a negative direction. Yeah.
Where you don't do what you tell people you're going to.
Yeah.
The behavior doesn't match what you say your behavior is going to be.
Absolutely. It's devastating, right? It is devastating when your behavior doesn't match what you've said is important to the organization. What else is a negative reflection of leadership? How might you have a negative influence on others through your actions? Yes.
I think a negative would be just kind of neglecting the team and taking charge of your own.
Yeah. Thinking you're the only one that can have input, certainly make a decision or even consider what's good for the group, right? What about the person who habitually shows up late for work? Are they demonstrating leadership? They are, but they're not the way we have traditionally defined as a role model. But do you think there are people paying attention? Absolutely. Do you think the guy who, let's say you habitually, is it Abel?
Yes.
All right, so Abel shows up habitually 10 minutes late for work. The guy that shows up 2 minutes late habitually, do you think he feels guilty for being late? Not at all. He goes, well, I'm better than Abel. You know? And so this idea of impacting others and everything that we do, having an influence on others, either for the good or bad, we're going to define today as leadership. And I will tell you that when you begin to do that, as we did at FedEx, and by the way, that transcends a lot of boundaries. We did it in 220 different countries with over 300,000 employees, which is why you can stop a FedEx courier on the street today and they will be responsive to the things that you are asking them about. They'll be pretty knowledgeable about the things that you're asking them about. They understand what the culture of the organization is driving to accomplish. It transcends those things because people then understand they have taken on responsibility. What do you think happens to those candidates for a job who you tell, when we recruit you here or when we hire you here, we expect you to be a leader? What do you think that does for those folks who say, I don't want to be?
Weeds them out.
Yeah, really fast. Really fast. And when you build a whole culture around that sort of perspective where people do believe that they are their brother's keepers and that they have the right. I have the right to say something to Ryan if I see Ryan doing something that's not in sync with our company culture or with the objectives that the organization is trying to accomplish. It brings to bear a level of accountability that is far more pervasive than anything that we can do just from the top of the organization. So we have clients that we've been working with for over a decade. It's amazing the impact that it has on the culture over time. It can also be a very quick impact as well. I'm going to show you. I'm sorry, were you about to raise your hand?
No, I was playing with my hair.
There you go. There you go. See, that will get you in trouble. In fact, you just volunteered to be part of the first exercise. And so come on up. Come on up. I'm looking for some volunteers, and I'm looking for specifically 6 volunteers. And I tell you what, Ryan.
Can I bring this with me?
Yes, please.
You're gonna
Y'all tongue. No. You won't need the tambourine. Bring your soft shoes, but don't bring your tambourine. Need 5 more volunteers. All right, come on up. Ryan, you and Zhatong, if you guys will slide down a little bit, they're going to work from right here. Okay. And just make yourself comfortable right here. And what is it? Michael. Yeah, Michael, met you a little earlier. Hey, Melinda, how are you doing? Good to have you volunteering today. Okay, we need 4 more volunteers. Come on, Ken. All right, David, I'm telling you, you sat too close to the front, and Carla's going, oh no, that could be me too. You want to participate in this, Carla? Sure you do.
I need another female up here. 100% participation.
Okay, so here's what I want you to do. We're going to get 3 people on this side of the table. I'm just going to slide these chairs out for a moment. First 3 of you just come in, and I want you to line up on this side of the table. We're going to play a little game. Ryan, do you have a stopwatch on you?
Yes.
Cell phone? Have you ever noticed millennials always have everything? It's called their...
Yeah.
All right. And so we will, so we need 1 more volunteer, one more brave person. How about you, Matt?
I am.
I'm telling you, man, you're looking brave this morning. In fact, Matt, you are so brave that I'm going to hand you the magic balls. All right? All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to play a game. These folks are going to play a game. And the game only has 3 rules. Rules are, first of all balls must start together on one side of the table and end on the opposite side of the table. Second rule is balls are passed to one person at a time and must touch each person. The third rule is balls cannot be passed to the person directly on either side of you. So that means, for instance, Ken, you couldn't pass horizontally and so forth. All balls start together on one side of the table and end on the opposite side of the table. Balls are passed to one person at a time and must touch each person. Balls cannot be passed to the person directly on either side of you. You guys got that? You may want to talk a minute.
How do we define X?
How do we define,
I'm kidding. It's like, that's
How-
a math problem.
how do we define what?
Define X. It's like trying to find.
Now, I want you guys to watch. I can say guys now because it appears we got an all-male audience here. I want you guys to sort of watch because I'm going to ask you to comment on what you saw after this exercise is complete.
First and all right. Now, I'm gonna go to you, cross back.
I think it's this way.
Yeah, so let's kind of crisscross.
You ready?
All right. Back.
Okay, Matt, you got all the balls?
I do at the moment.
Okay, you might get them. Go ahead. Go ahead and you start with the balls.
Okay. I did.
All right? Okay. So Matt is our team captain here. And Matt, by the way, what is the name of this illustrious team that you have here?
Aspire.
Great job, Matt. Great job, man. Further branding. Aspire apparently. All right, so Aspire apparently is gonna show us how this is done. And what I'm gonna do, Matt, is I'm gonna go 3, 2, 1, go. And you start the balls moving, and when you've completed the game, you say done. So I'll go 3, 2, 1, go. You'll start the game, and then you'll tell me done when it's finished.
Got it.
All right, you ready, Brian? Yep. All right, Ryan, by the way, is in IT with Chapman Hex. Likes emails 3 o'clock in the morning.
I always have my cell phone on me.
Here we go, Matt.
But if I go like that,
Is
sorry, that's fine.
it has to be directly on either side.
So it's just on this side.
Does Carla count as
No.
on my side?
She's not on your side. These people are on your
Just
side.
Us that can't, so we
Okay.
can pass directly across.
But Carla is on your side in a certain sense.
part of
Matt.
the team.
Okay, she's part of the team. All right, here we go.
Carla?
3, 2, 1, go.
Back to us across, right? Carla, you can't. It's the exact same thing. Carla, Ken. Done.
17 seconds.
All right, let's give them a round of applause. Hey, Matt, can I tell you a little secret? Most groups, this is just between you and I, of course. Most groups do this in under 3 seconds the second time they do it. Go for it, big guy. All right.
Y'all solved that 3 seconds.
Touch it first, so
Right,
all hold
there
it
we go.
together.
Just good to go, right?
All hold, but we all have to touch it, and then we need to do.
All right. All right, Matt.
And then we're gonna hand them across the table, everybody.
You might take them.
Yeah, mine.
All right, Matt.
Yep.
3, 2, 1, go.
Done. We didn't get 3. but-
2.5.
2.5 seconds. That's great. Matt. Don't let the applause fool you, man.
Bet we can do
They'll
it
be
faster,
applauding for
right?
me when we're all done here
Bet
too,
we
but
can
it
do it
won't mean
faster.
much. Yeah. Yeah. Here's the deal. Most groups get it done. Are you ready for this, Matt?
Almost instantaneously.
In less than a second.
Yeah.
Third time around, man.
Got it.
Third time's a charm.
Everybody put their hand.
All right.
Ready? Everybody touch.
3, 2, 1, go.
Done.
Half a second.
All right. All right. Thank you very much.
0.1, the fourth one.
If I knew something less than a
That's the
second.
timer's fault,
Huh?
because from you to say go to done, he was a little slow with the button.
Yeah. You know those IT guys, you know. All right, y'all can go back to your chairs. I'll just leave them out there. Wow, so what happened there? You showed up for a lesson on leadership. Next thing you knew, 6 people insisted on taking the speaker's place at the front of the room. They came up, they grabbed these fuzzy balls wherever they may have come from. What happened there? What did you see that happened there?
Team building. That was a team.
Team building, they came together as a group, right, and as a team. All right? Yeah, Kim?
Iterative learning with feedback, the result of feedback. They learned each time around and got better.
They got better each time around. They got feedback, and so they were getting better. What else happened there?
We had a good leader.
You had a good leader?
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt. He said, sign me up, coach.
They responded to the expectation we put out.
Yeah. Expectation. Matt, what was the expectation whenever we first started?
There was just touch each ball, each person touches the ball.
Yeah. There was like no particularly well-stated expectation, right? In fact, there was no expectation, period. Matt was thinking, if I just make it through the game, I've done good, right?
Okay.
That might be translated as, come on, 5 o'clock, right? The employee who shows up and is just thinking about, I just make it through till 5, I get paid, and we've done a good job, right? You ever seen that? Okay, so we raised the level of expectation, and suddenly, what did that drive in the way of changes in behavior for Matt and the team? Aspire, what was it? Aspire, apparently. What changes did that affect in the team?
Well, you set a target or goal that we were shooting for.
Yeah, suddenly you began to shoot at a particular target, all of you together. What other changes did it affect?
They became more resourceful.
They became more resourceful. How so?
Instead of thinking of just doing one ball at a time, they were, once the time limit was set, they were thinking of maybe doing it all at a time. So it kind of spawned creativity in terms of
Spawned a lot of innovation, right? Spawned a lot of creativity, a lot of new thinking. What else did it do? Yeah.
Initially, you assigned Matt as the leader.
Yeah.
They willingly accepted his leadership. At first, they shared ideas on how to do it. They didn't force, no one who was talking to Matt forced a particular position on him.
Yeah.
They kind of came to agreement fairly quickly on what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And they let him set the pace, I guess.
Yeah. You know, and we're going to talk about now what this has to do with leadership. But typically, when everyone just sort of convenes and, you know, the loudest voice, if you will, carries the day, who is effectively taking control of the leadership of the group? The loudest voice. How often is the loudest voice correct? Not always, at best, right? In fact, I would say like seldom to never is the loudest voice necessarily correct. So, what else does this have to do with leadership? What leadership lessons can we learn from this simple little ball game with only 3 rules?
Well, I like the idea of setting expectations. I mean, I think that is so big. It's,
Yeah.
You know, how do your employees know if they had a good day or a bad day?
Yeah,
So we didn't know the first time, we didn't know what the real goal was other than moving them.
exactly. So good leaders have to set expectations, right? And an active leadership is setting an expectation. And so when you have 2 people working side by side in, quote, frontline positions, is one helping to shape the expectation or the expectation of the other? Yeah, just through their actions and their behavior, right? And their words, the seriousness with which they take the job, their commitment to the company, all of that reflects on this notion of what type of leadership are you going to display. You know, and thank you, Matt, for the team that you put together. You assembled them on short order. You guys did well, and we appreciate that. So naturally, I'm going to go from there to talking about sequoia trees, right? I mean, isn't that sort of a natural progression for most of us to go from a ball game to sequoia trees?